Today is Thanksgiving, and I'm going to talk about what I'm thankful for, because, you know, that's a thing you do. I'm Daniel Whittington. I'm Chancellor of Wizard Academy and Whiskey Marketing School, and I'm going to tell you the sort of whiskey community things I'm thankful for. So, to start, the community of whiskey human beings that I stumbled into when we started this channel are pretty incredible. And one of my favorite stories is early on we shot a video of Balcones single malt. And I A/B compared the Balcones single malt from when Chip Tate was there with the Balcones single malt from the new Vanguard. And it wasn't really the new Vanguard, it was Jared. He's been there from the beginning, but you know, since Jared stepped up as head distiller, and we loved it. And across the board, my analysis was the stuff that they're releasing now that Jared is in charge, significantly better. Now, in the video, I couldn't remember his name, so I just said the new guy. And about 3 days after that video came out, I get a Facebook message from some guy I've never heard of called Jared Hempstead. And he said, "Hey man, I'm that guy whose name you couldn't remember." and he said, "I went on Facebook to look you up, and it turns out we have like 50 friends in common, so we should probably be friends." And I went and looked, and sure enough, like, a third of Jared's friend group in Waco is people I grew up with and like went to elementary school with or were friends with out of high school. And I looked at the overlap of who those friends were, and I was like, man, if these guys like Jared Hempstead, pretty sure I'm going to like Jared Hempstead. And not long after that, I met Jared, and sure enough, we headed off, and he's become one of my favorite people in the whiskey industry and a true friend. And immediately, it was a moment where it was like, this guy could have been an asshole. He could have been punchy. Instead, he was a little snarky, but well-deserved. And I immediately felt welcomed into this whole circle of community. This is before we started Crowded Barrel Whiskey. And then the YouTube channel blew up. All of a sudden, we were getting tons of views and tons of people watching and tons of comments, and it just sort of mushroomed. And then we started the Patreon, and the comments and the community that got built around it were remarkable. And I've been on social media and internet for a long time. I did originally with music. And so my sort of grid on internet people is that it's a mixed bag, and it's mostly the high drama, noisy people wanting to start fires. But over and over and over, what we found in our YouTube community and our Facebook community was that the people who showed up to watch the content and participate were just overwhelmingly positive and contributed and were kind to each other. And that stayed true. And I am grateful to be a part of what I feel is a pretty rare community that is more kind than not kind. And that's thanks to you guys. Then we started Crowded Barrel Whiskey Company. And I started reaching out to distillers in the Texas whiskey industry. And what I found was, once again, a room full, a world full of just kind, generous, and willing whiskey community humans who helped us figure out what we needed equipment-wise, helped us source things, helped us when we were working on our smoking our grains, and gave me advice on distillation when I was running into issues with new pot stills. And when we held our first ever Bastards Ball, these guys just all showed up. We were a totally unknown factor, and 14 distillers showed up to support the grand opening of Crowded Barrel, another distillery, in theory, a competitor, and were kind and generous and fun. And then we did, with Jake Clements, came up with the idea to blend, the founder of the Texas Whiskey Festival and now director of the Texas Whiskey Trail. He came up with the idea to blend 3 Texas distilleries, and he and I reached out to 3 Texas distilleries, mostly him, and they were like, hell yeah, here, have our barrels, create a blend. And when I asked them whether they wanted to have input, they just sort of were like, no, you do it. And that is, I mean, to all the work it takes to create something, and then to sit on it for 2 to 3 years, and then to just hand it over to somebody and trust that they're gonna not make crappy whiskey. It's incredible. And I am so thankful to be a part of that. Now, there's another community that I'm now grateful to be a part of. It's more recent. So this is Lost Lantern. Also, this bottle was a gift thanks to Jacob Stokes, who contributed to allow us to review this bottle. Thank you, Jacob. This is an independent bottling. Now, about 7 years ago, I started lighting torches with people and going like, guys, America needs more independent bottlers. Scotland has them, Ireland has them. America has less than half dozen people. And what I mean by independent bottling is people who have their own brand, Lost Lantern, but who are featuring other distillers on the bottle and talking about that distillery and promoting their product. And so we created one with Crowded Barrel, and then I started reaching out and I stumbled into these guys. Now, this is a single barrel release of Starlight Distillery, which is Huber Family Winery in Indiana, started an incredible distillery, took things very seriously. And this is a 4-grain bourbon, and their bourbon, just without giving you any context on this at all, their bourbon, sherry cask bourbon a few years back, was the best bourbon I maybe have ever tried. And so I was excited to get, you see, some friends of mine already put a dent in this one, but I'm going to live it for you for the first time. Oh, that is just deep candied corn. I don't know how you do candied corn dust, but this is candied corn dust. This is pears and fruit and deep, rich molasses and cherries. And then there's that sort of dusty grain. This is 60 corn, 60 corn, 30 malt, 20 malt, 10, 10. 60, 20, 10, 10. That's what it is. You'll get it. Oh man, it's big and it's bold and has real flavor markers, but it's also like, it's not harsh. It's not punchy. It's approachable. And oh, that rich, hard candy, and then those sort of poached fruits, and almond. Man, that's good. Okay, so I was at the, I think, American Craft Spirits annual meeting, and I can't remember where it was. Oh, I do remember where it was. It was Minneapolis, because it was like 20 below zero when I landed, and they closed parts of the airport at one point, and there were like 6-foot snow drifts as we walked around. I was told, hey, from mutual friends, hey, there's these guys, Adam and Nora, they're starting a independent bottling company, and then they have serious whiskey bona fides in the industry in journalism. And so I reached out to them, and they were like, sure, we'll meet up. And we met up at a local bar, and we sat down, and I immediately just fell in love with both of them. And they put up with me for a whole lunch. And they told me what they were doing. And they did like a Steinbeck Travels with Charlie. They just got in their car and drove around North America, visiting every craft distillery that they were a fan of, and making connections, and then eventually going back to Vermont and then bringing those barrels back with them and doing independent bottling releases. And their palates are unparalleled. And I would say that this is something you probably can't get, this one bottle Starlight, but they ship now, and they have an online to most states. And so if you would like to know more information about Lost Lantern, go to the website, and you'll find out everything you need to know. But together we started building the community of American independent bottlers. And that community has once again been a whole other community that over and over I find kind, generous, and people willing to contribute and build story. And I think that is why I chose this for Thanksgiving, and I'm grateful for you. And I hope that you meet these kinds of people in your life. I hope that you are or become one of these kinds of people and who just look for community and look for ways to contribute and look for ways to be generous, because that's what makes all of this more interesting and that's what makes whiskey more fun. So cheers to you. I'm glad you're here. Happy Thanksgiving.